Hello and welcome to Donington Park for round 7 and 8 of the Miller's Oils Toyota MR2 Championship. It's the halfway point of the season. Since we last saw the MR2s in action at Snetterton, there have been 2 further races at Pembrey. The championship leader going into that event, Stuart Nichols, elected not to make the trip to Wales, so I headed down to the paddock to find out what he had missed. OK, Matt Palmer, tell us how your weekend at Pembrey went.
The weekend at Pembrey was really good. It was what we needed for our championship. The car was back to how it felt at Brands Hatch, partly due to the hard work my granddad and Alex from RSR did, and it resulted in a perfect weekend really.
Yeah, you had a couple of wins there, but the first one you made it a little bit hard for yourself, didn't you?
Yeah, we put brand new tyres on which hadn't been scrubbed in, so we got a lot of wheel spin off the line and felt ourselves back in third, but we managed to battle our way through the front again and then pull out a nice lead throughout the rest of the race.
And why do you think you had such success at Pembrey? Because you really dominated those races, didn't you?
Yeah, we were a long way ahead of the others. I just really enjoy the track. It's quite busy and a lot of the corners lead into other corners, and I just click with it. And the Donington Park Grand Prix circuit today, I guess that's a new challenge. Yeah, but we did well on the national circuit, and it's 90% the same, and I'm not that worried about it, to be honest. The hairpin is fine, but then the final corner is a bit more tricky. It's sort of blind downhill, and that could be a bit tricky. OK, thanks a lot, Matt. So Tim Heron's with me, and Tim, you were just telling me how this season's going a little bit better than you expected it to be.
Well, it's a real surprise this year. Last year I was qualifying about mid-pack and struggling through the races, but I fit a new engine in over the winter, and it's gone very well this year. I'm up to where I think I should be, and I've had a couple of third in classes, and my goal for this year was top 10 finishes, and I'm succeeding in that already, which I'm very pleased with.
And you're getting good consistent results as well, which as far as the championship is concerned is really important. You're tied in Class B with John Wilson, and you're only at 1 point off the overall championship lead as well, I think.
Yes, I don't think I've got the pace to quite get a race win this season. There's some very quick cars ahead of me, but I just need to keep putting in the consistent results, and hopefully I'll get a good result in the championship. And
what did you do before you came into the MR2 championship?
Well, this is my second season in the MR2s, and before I started last season I was sprinting and hill climbing with a Lotus Elise, and I had that for 7 years and enjoyed it very much. But then I decided to go racing, and the MR2s were the nearest thing to something which handled like an Elise but considerably cheaper to race. Absolutely, and no regrets about the decision to come into the championship then? None at all. It's really good fun and friendly paddock atmosphere, very competitive series, and people are being very polite. It's very nice. So we're looking ahead to round 7 and 8 of the Miller's Oils Toyota MR2 Championship. Luke Austin's with me. Luke, tell us how your last meeting at Pembrey went first of all.
It went really well. I was sort of leading the class in the first race until I ended up spinning off the track trying to take the overall lead. But then the second race went really well and got second in class, so quite pleased with that. And does that give you a bit of confidence coming into this weekend at Donington? It does give me the confidence, because it seemed that we had quite a bit of pace over the rest of the field at that weekend, so hopefully I can carry it forward for this one. And is Donington a circuit that you particularly enjoy? Yeah, I think I had my first head of the pack battle here, so I do enjoy it quite a lot, and I seem to go well here. So. And why do you think that is in particular? Well, I've had some good coaching from Malcolm Edison, and he knows this track like the back of his hand, so I do have him to thank for a lot of my good performances here. So is there a few secrets that you've got that you're going to keep up your sleeve then? Yeah, I have got a few tricks up my sleeve for this track from him, so hopefully it should play to my advantage. Are you going to complete the rest of the season, Luke? Because traditionally with you, you've not been able to do all of the rounds. I'm planning to. If I have another bad one, I might have to drop it and take a bit of a break, but we'll see how it goes. Excellent, thanks a lot, Luke.
as the cars make their way out for round 7 of the Miller's Oils Toyota MR2 Championship. You can see the grid on your screen now. There will be 2 absentees though. Matthew Wallace was on pole position here last year, but he suffered head gasket failure, so not able to take part at all today. One driver who made qualifying and did enough to get 15th on the grid, that was Paul Grimmett, but he suffered an engine failure and so he won't be able to take the start. Just to add some flesh to the bones of what happened at Pembrey, race 1 won by Matthew Palmer, Jim Davis second and Matthew Wallace was third, and in race 2 it was Palmer, Davis from Luke Austin. We're ready for the off. 33 cars on the grid then for 13 minutes plus 1 lap of racing. Red lights are on and they'll go out any moment now. Away we go. Down towards Redgate corner they go. A good start by Matthew Palmer from the outside of the front row of the grid in his blue and green car. He's got ahead of the pole position driver. That is Matthew Wallace in the green machine. Slotting into 3rd place in the red Mark III Roadster is Jim Davis, car number 11. But with such a big field, can they all make it around Redgate for the first time? Often the answer to that question is no, but it looks like on this occasion they have all made it through safely. Challenge on for 3rd place, and Jim Davis had briefly lost out there to Stuart Nichols, who tries to go side by side, just making a bit of a correction as they head down to the old hairpin. Nichols having slotted into 4th. He lost his championship lead by not going to Pembrey. He's now back in 6th equal in the standings. Heading now up to the left-hander at Schwantz Curve, then the right-hander at McLean's. It's Palmer from Mike Wells, from Jim Davis, but off in the background there's a couple of cars that have had a moment there. We'll try and pick up on those in a moment. Meanwhile, the rest of the field making their way through McLean's corner for the first time, and yes, one of them is number 85, that is Nigel Ralphson, and the other, which has a bit more damage by the looks of it, is number 99, Lee Gambell, and it doesn't look as if he's going to go any further. I think he may well have connected with the tyre wall. Down the Dunlop straight, and Jim Davis is having a look down the inside of Mike Wells there, but I don't think he's close enough to make that work. This is the view on board with Matt Palmer as he made his way through Fogarty S's, and now it's down the straight towards the Melbourne hairpin because we're on the full 2.5 mile Grand Prix circuit as used for the 1993 European Grand Prix, famously won by Ayrton Senna, and a good move there. Senna would have been proud of that. Jim Davis through on the inside of Mike Wells down at the Melbourne hairpin. It's 3 abreast further back down the order and a spinner towards the back of the field. We'll try and pick up on who that was. But this is on board with Simon Wallace a little bit earlier on the opening lap of the race. Let's see what he can see. Now that, having just made his way ahead of us, is the 85 car of Nigel Ralphson. He was caught up in that instant up at Schwantz Curve. He's there on the left-hand side of the circuit. It's Lee Gambell on the right. Ralphson moves across to the right-hand side of the track, and there's a touch, and then they both spear off. So it was the right rear of Ralphson's car, the left front corner of Lee Gambell's car. I'm afraid it's put them both off. It's put Lee Gambell out of the race. This is on board with Stuart Nichols. He's in 4th position. Jim Davis is now in 2nd, as we saw with that move at the Melbourne hairpin, but Mike Wells trying to get that back up at McLean's, and he's done it. So Mike Wells, car number 37, the green car, goes back up to 2nd place. I'm sure he was very pleased with his pole position this morning in his Russell Hennessy Motorsport prepared car. Davis in the Rogue Motorsport prepared Roadster, as is Stuart Nichols, who's in 4th position. Further back it looks like it's Mick Nichols in 5th place. 24 car going through there. That's Martin Fowley just ahead of Simon Wallace, number 73. On board with Tim Heron. He's in the number 23 car. 2nd in the championship coming into this weekend, just 1 point adrift of John Wilson. That's the overall championship. There is a separate championship scored within the respective classes for Mark 2s and Mark 3s as well, and Mark 1s if any of them take part, which they haven't so far this season. Ben Rowe there, getting a good run out of the Melbourne hairpin and heading up then to the next hairpin, which is a left-hander at Goddard. Oh, another of the Roadsters has a moment. Oh, and almost collects one of the Mark 2s there. That's Vincent Price, car number 57. On board with John Wilson. This looks like Luke Austin's car up ahead of him, the red car with the white roof and white rear spoiler. Wilson in another of the Hennessy Motorsport prepared cars, turns his way through Redgate corner. Looks to me as if this is 5th, 6th and 7th. we are looking at in terms of the battle. Mick Nichols just a little bit further up the road, but second, third and fourth is very tight indeed. Jim Davis has got back through to second position, Michael Wells down to third, and Stuart Nichols still there in fourth position. There's Luke Austin, number 44, the Northampton based driver of the Northampton Knights karting team as well. Here's Stuart Nichols, up the inside he goes of Mike Wells. Can he go through? He's got the car halfway alongside. Now the climb uphill towards Coppice Corner. I think Mike Wells might just about have done enough to stay ahead. Yes, he has, for the moment at least. Davies, though, runs out wide, and Wells and Nichols are both going to try to capitalise here. There's a little bit of a touch between the two of them, purely accidental. But they've both managed to continue. I think they've both managed to get ahead of Jim Davis, though. Let's see how that pans out when they get down to Fogarty. Mike Wells having a look down the inside. He goes through to second place. So it's second now Mike Wells, third Stuart Nichols, and fourth, you can see on the inset there, is Jim Davis in the rear view mirror effectively, but it changes again because Stuart Nichols carries good speed through Fogarty Edges and he gets back ahead of Wells. Well, this is the view on board Tim Heron's car. He's heading down towards the Melbourne hairpin. Ooh, and a spin. Now, did he do that on his own? He's got going again. There's certainly a car that's come through behind him, which may well have been number 7, Ben Rowe. Those two battling just towards the bottom end of the top 10 today. Both have had better results than that during the course of this season. Heron's had a couple of overall 4th place finishes. Thick of the action back there, included in it was number 22 Mark Barber, 45 as well I could see, it was Robert Wells. So there is Ben Rowe just ahead of Tim Heron, and I think it's Dan Holmes that's coming through next in that group in 10th place in the number 92 car. That's the green one, on board with Heron, just behind Ben Rowe, having lost out down at the Melbourne hairpin a few moments ago. Under the Starkey's Bridge, through the left-hander at Schwantz Curve. Now it's the climb up towards the right-hander at McLean's. Brake lights go on for Ben Rowe, driver who has quite a long way to travel from Holmesworthy in Devon for every round of the championship. Tim Heron, a more local man to Donington Park. He's from Warwick. You can see there's a queue of cars building up behind them now, because also involved number 8, which is Clive Morford, number 33, which is Alex Knight, who, let's not forget, won the opening round of the championship at Brands Hatch back at the end of April. Scottish restaurateur enjoys his trips to compete in the MR2 championship, although we didn't see him last time out at Pembrey. Heron getting back ahead of Rowe, who's got a bit crossed up down there at the Melbourne hairpin. But Rowe trying to come back at him. Meanwhile, not seen much of Matthew Palmer. This is why he's a long way ahead of the rest now. Not that interesting to see what he's doing, to be quite honest with you. Much more interesting to look at this battle between Heron and Rowe, which is absolutely nip and tuck. It looks like Holmes is still in there as well. Just pulling out of the slipstream now, but he's not close enough to essay a move going into Redgate Corner this time. But it's still Palmer leading, and it's Stuart Nichols now up to second at the front of the order. Someone running wide, that's Clive Morford. Well, that's about 16 wheels off that could be, let alone 4 at Redgate Corner. Here's Heron. Just a bit more of a gap this time between Rowe and then Dan Holmes behind him, and of course Clive Morford, with that wide moment at Redgate, has dropped back as well, away from Alex Knight, who now looks to challenge Dan Holmes as they go under Starkey's Bridge. Watch those two cars as they come up towards McLean's now. Knight just thinking about a look there, but not really close enough to make anything work. Maybe a better opportunity will present itself at Coppice Corner, and he draws alongside now. He's on the inside line for the right-hander, and he's able to sail through there. So Alex Knight makes up one position. So that puts him now, I reckon, up inside the top 10, which is a bit of a crucial landmark for anybody. Top 10 finish is always something to go home and tell your mates about. Oh, and someone off into the gravel trap there. So much dust being kicked up, we can't see for the moment who that is. This is Matt Palmer again, out in the lead of the race, and he's not got an awful lot in front of him, has he? He's turning his way through the Goddard hairpin now, brings him back onto the start and finish straight, past the grandstand, under the gantry, under the clock, and he goes on to start another lap. You can see it's Stuart Nichols in second, Mike Wells in third, Jim Davis, the Stratford-on-Avon driver, in fourth, Mick Nichols is fifth, and then John Wilson is in sixth position, with Luke Austin still just behind him in that red number 44 car. Ben Rowe next through, and then Tim Heron, and up into the top 10 has gone Alex Knight. Now Heron having a look for 8th position at Redgate Corner. Doesn't work. Jim Davis giving Mike Wells now a bit of a hard time here, looking to get the place back. Of course, he was running up in second position at one point in the race, was Jim Davis. Good to see that in the top 4 cars there's 2 Mark IIs and 2 Mark III Roadsters, proving that it's a very equal battle between the 2 different types of car this season. The Mark II heavier but more powerful, the Mark III a bit lighter and more nimble, and actually it all balances out to give us some very great and close racing. Hence this year for the first time an overall championship is being awarded rather than just 2 class awards. Because really the overall championship will actually reflect what kind of racing we're seeing out on track. That's Robert Wells in number 45, just going past the 28 car, which is Christian White, the Bracknell driver. Elvis Cross on the back of his car. They head up towards Coppice Corner. Good battles going on all the way down the order in this 33 car field that we have here at Donington Park this weekend for the Grand Prix circuit. 34 car is the Norwich driver Shane Mansbridge, a newcomer to racing this season. Someone going off there though, and that's the number 35 car. Ascot driver Lee Atkinson has had a spin into the gravel trap. Meanwhile up front Jim Davis has got through, but the red light's going on, and as we were coming towards the end of the race, I think that will be to allow the recovery of that Lee Atkinson car. So the race having a red flag, it has been stopped, and we'll have to see what that will do to the results, because Jim Davis had only just got through to take second position from Mike Wells. That car well and truly stranded in the gravel trap, so it is going to take a little bit of time to recover. So let's take a look at the results then for round 7 of the Miller's Oils Toyota MR2 Championship. Matthew Palmer getting the win, of course. Stuart Nichols in the end, given the verdict over Michael Wells. It was third place that had changed between Davis and Wells towards the end, just before the red flag. Mick Nichols 5th, John Wilson completing the top 6 ahead of Luke Austin, Ben Rowe, Tim Heron and Alex Knight. And the fastest lap went to the winner, that was Matt Palmer. Matt Palmer, well, for a change, you made a pretty good start to that race.
Yeah, it was similar to our start at the second race in Pembury. I got it hooked up perfectly and managed to get a car length in front of Mike before turn 1.
Yeah, that was probably really important, wasn't it? Just to enable you to make a break and focus on your own race from that point.
Yeah, it was really important for me to get a good start, because from our qualifying times I could tell we were consistently fast, and yeah, it was just important for me to get out in front and maintain my pace.
Absolutely. Any dramas along the way?
No, it was a really good race. So unfortunately, it got red flagged a lap or 2 early. It would have been nice to do my checkered flag lap, but it's okay. I can't complain. Okay, well done, Matt. Cheers.
Okay, Stuart, that was a pretty dramatic battle for second position, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to have to look back at the footage now just to see exactly what went on, because I remember sitting back and just watching those 2 guys fight, and I thought if there's an opportunity presents itself, I'll take it. I'll just sit back and watch them 2 fight, and what a show they put on. It was amazing. Loved it.
Yeah, so can you remember how you actually got through to second place?
I remember going 3 wide, I think, through Coppice at one point and having a bit of a drag race down the straight, down that back straight. I don't remember at what point I actually took the position. I can remember looking in my rearview mirror a hell of a lot after that and trying to make a bit of a breakaway, but it was fantastic racing out there today.
And more solid points for the championship.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, and most importantly, I've had a Jim, because Jim's my nearest rival in this one. That's what I'm worried about, is old Jimmy boy.
Excellent, well done, Stuart.
Cheers.
Okay, well, a great fight there for second, third and fourth positions. You were right in the thick of that, Mike.
That's right, yeah. The plan was to get a launch off the start and put a gap in. Doing the decent times I did this morning in qualifying, but obviously that wasn't to be. Bogged down a little bit. Matt got the better off me off the start, and the Mark 3s were right there to pick up the pieces. So it was a hard fight all the way through the race. But second in class, happy with that, and looking for better things this afternoon.
And do you think if you'd not been sort of distracted a little bit by those Mark 3s, you might have been able to stay with Matt and give him a bit of a better race?
Yes, in a word. It was. It's always difficult when you're trying to defend as well as attack, and you've got to sort of position yourself. You've got to compromise your line really. So I think I did the best I could. The tyres started to go off at the end as well. It's a nice hot day today, but the tyres aren't too happy with it. So probably set them a little bit low for the second race and see how we get on.
Excellent. Can Matt Palmer make it a double victory at Donington? Join us after the break to find out.
Con los terroristas.
Harlem Shake.
Con los terroristas.
All set for round 8 of the championship. Mike Wells and Matt Palmer on the front row of the grid. Jim Davis and Mick Nichols make up row 2. Red lights out. We're on board with Matt Palmer. And he makes such a good start as he did last time. He's got Mike Wells next to him on the front row of the grid. Wells has made a better start than he did to the earlier race, but Palmer already alongside him, and I think, yes he does, cut across into the lead, going into the first right-hander at Redgate. On board with John Wilson, that's Dan Holmes, who gets a little bit of a biff as he came across in front of him and heads off towards the gravel trap on the left-hand side of the circuit. Holmes made a decent start to get alongside Wilson there, but it's delayed Wilson, and it's given Holmes an even bigger problem. Down at the old hairpin, it's Palmer from Wells, and then it's one of the two Nichols cars. We'll pick up which one in a moment, whether it's Mick or Stewart that made the better of the starts. Mick started 4th and Stewart 5th for this one. Luke Austin there in the red and white 44 car. He started back in 22nd on the grid, only got the one decent lap in during qualifying, and it's the second fastest qualifying times that set the grid for this race. Up through McLean's they go, big field of cars, 32 cars starting this one. Lee Gambell, who had damage earlier on, has not been able to make the start. But still, 32 cars by any standards in national motor racing these days is a very good field indeed in this 750 Motor Club organised championship. John Wilson trying to find a gap here down the Dunlop straight. There wasn't particularly one apparent, but somehow that all worked. He's alongside Tim Heron now as they head down towards the Fogarty S's, trying to make up some of that time that he lost at Redgate Corner. There's the 33 car of Alex Knight, who had that top 10 finish earlier on today, but he's hit problems on the opening lap of race 2 and looks to be out of it. Into Goddard hairpin, then it's Palmer from Wells, and then it's Jim Davis in 3rd. It's the 89 car in 4th place, which is Mick Nichols. Stu Nichols down to 6th because John Wilson has got past him, and John Wilson did get past Tim Heron as well, who is down in 7th place. A few of them making their way up towards Redgate Corner for the second time. Again, a 13-minute plus 1 lap race that we have here, and problems it would seem for Mick Nichols there in the 89 car, going very slowly all of a sudden, and I wonder what that is all down to. Just doesn't seem to have any pace at all to carry into Redgate Corner. This is on board with Mick Nichols. Does this shed any light on things, I wonder? You can see further up the road you've got Palmer and Wells. Nichols turning his way through McLean's there. Oh, has a bit of a moment. Through the gravel he goes. Collected it all up, loses a bit of time. That's how Jim Davis got through to 3rd. Right, well you can hear there what the problem is. It's gearbox, isn't it? Mick Nichols trying to find a gear and not necessarily being successful in doing so. So If Mick can get it to the end of the race from there, he'll be doing pretty well, I suggest. There's Stuart Nichols, and side by side with Tim Heron there, the Mark II and the Mark III absolutely together up towards the right-hander at Coppice Corner. And who is going to come out of that best? It's just going to be the 23 car of Tim Heron, still a relative newcomer to circuit racing. I'm very pleased with his progress so far, having done speed events in the past. See the number 23 on the rear of his car, quite helpfully for us. He's on the brakes now for Fogarty. Left then right, rather than right then left if you're on the national circuit here at Donington Park. You just see that Heron able to edge away ever so slightly from Nichols down this straight towards the Melbourne hairpin. Clive Morford there has the number 9 car behind him, which is Paul Hudson, who did some Formula 3 racing quite a few years ago now. And the 44 car is there as well. That's Luke Austin. As I say, watch out for him making up ground during the course of this race. Up at the front though, it is the Pembrey double winner, Matthew Palmer, getting his championship campaign back on track after a very difficult first weekend at Brands Hatch. Someone has pulled into the pit lane there. We'll try and work out who that is. It is the 7th car of Ben Rowe. Well, he was the winner of round 2 of the championship at Brands Hatch. As this battle goes on between Clive Morford and Paul Hudson in cars 8 and 9 respectively, just ahead of 44 Luke Austin, who no doubt will try and find a way past very soon. He might try and make it 3 abreast as they head down the Craner curves, which is brave if it works. Oh, he is going for it. Has he managed to get through? Well, he's got past 1 car. Can he get past 2 cars before he gets to the old hairpin? It's Paul Hudson that now is ahead, having made his way ahead of Clive Morford. Well, Austin made up 1 place, now runs out wide on the exit of the old hairpin. That allows Nigel Ralphson to try and get alongside as well. Meanwhile, Stuart Nichols still doing fine battle here with Tim Heron for that place up inside the top 6. Well, there's Luke Austin. He has managed to stay ahead of Nigel Ralphson, but he did lose out to Clive Morford again, having run wide at the old hairpin. So more work for Luke to do as he charges up the order from 22nd on the grid. Oh, it's picked off Hudson now again. Hudson may have made a mistake up there at Coppice Corner. He did seem to lose a bit of speed quite suddenly. So battles at the front of shot, battles in the rear of your shot there. This is the battle involving Tim Heron. Car number 23. Just tucked in behind this man, Stuart Nichols, the cameraman from Hertfordshire. Car number 88 this season. He turns his way through the Melbourne hairpin now. You're going to have to watch out because it looks to me as if Robert Wells in the number 37 car is number 45 car, I beg your pardon, is closing in on them just a little bit. It's Mike Wells that wears the number 37 on his machine, turning their way now through Goddard hairpin. This is the onboard view from Heron, who gets 2 wheels over the curb on the exit of the corner, which I think is pretty much de rigueur to carry good speed out of it. See many drivers getting as close to the white line and the curb, if not over it, as possible. Here comes Luke Austin again though, number 44. On the right hand side of your shot. Does he make it ahead of Clive Morford this time? Yes, he does. Well, now he'll be hoping he stays there. He's ahead of that gaggle of cars, has some clear track in front of him, can get his foot down now and try and close in on them. Probably take a lap or 2 to do so, but the Northampton driver now has something to aim for. Very disappointed with his qualifying showing. He had an off. He went into the gravel trap, which meant that he only got a few laps in, hence only 1 half decent qualifying time, and even that was probably a disappointment to him. 53 running wide there, that's Mark Snelling, and the spinner is the other car involved, 83, and they get together and have a little bit of a dance. At 83 is William Gallagher, the Skelmersdale driver. They're facing nose to nose now, a very neatly way of finishing that manoeuvre. 28 car is Christian White, a driver who often seems to race better than he qualifies. He makes up some ground there up at Coppice Corner. Simon Wallace is there as well. So too the 58 car of Mark Bithry. I think he was the driver that we saw spin in the earlier race as well. Down towards the left-hander at Fogarty then. It looks like Christian White well and truly involved in the thick of that battle now. He's looking to get up inside the top 10 as well. Has a little bit more work to do to get there though. So look back towards the front of the field, and Mike Wells taking a little bit too much of the curb, possibly that time through. Got the Goddard hairpin. That gives Jim Davis the chance to get alongside on the run down to Redgate corner. Red car on your right, green car on your left. It's Jim Davis in the red, and he doesn't make it through yet. So the legs on Jim Davis there for Mike Wells. He's just about managed to hold on to that position for the moment. That's second place, of course. These two quite a long way behind the race leader Matt Palmer, and quite a long way ahead of the next car, which should be John Wilson now in fourth position. Yeah, you can see John just a bit further up the road than this battle, slightly obscured now by the view of Stuart Nichols, who suddenly appeared in front of Tim Heron's bonnet. Stuart Nichols though runs wide and gets the car a little bit squirrely, and he spins. The turf and the muck being kicked up in Tim Heron's face, and Stuart Nichols, who was leading the championship after a double win at Snetterton, spins around at the old hairpin. He's kept the car running, which is something. He's on the grass. He's got to find his way back onto the circuit in a safe way, of course. Well, this is how it looked from on board with Stu Nichols. You could just see how the back end was stepping round. That tipped the front round in turn. And Stu Nichols just going into that spin, which was relatively undamaging to the car. He managed to escape without making contact with anything, but he'll be a little bit red-faced, having lost quite a few places. I wonder if the handling on that car was all that it might have been. Tim Heron in the 23 car then, making his way down the straight, the left-hander towards Fogarty S's. And he now, I think he's doing battle. Is this with Robert Wells, who's managed to get ahead? Yes, it looks like it is. Heron delayed there by that spin for Stuart Nichols at the old hairpin. Into the Melbourne hairpin they go. So it looks like Heron has retrieved that place that he lost. But Rob Wells trying to fight back as they make their way up the hill towards Goddard. They crest the hill here, then it's downhill again into the left-hander at Goddard, which drops away from you. And the gradient change here at Donington Park does help to make it quite an interesting lap. So they go on to another lap now. Heron from Wells. And you can see more cars in the background turn their way into the right-hander at Redgate corner. There's a bit more of a gap between them now, 4 or 5 car lengths as they turn their way through the right-hander towards Hollywood. They will go, and it's down through the famous Craner curves and then towards the old hairpin. This was the scene of the spin on the previous lap for Stuart Nichols, who has continued, but he's lost quite a few places. He's outside the top 10. He's desperately trying to retrieve some ground. There's the 22 car, that's Mark Barber, another Northampton driver. Oh, what a spin for his fellow Northampton driver, and that is Luke Austin, car number 44. Well, he'd done all of that hard work to climb up the order, and he rejoins now. He loses a place to Stuart Nichols, and most of that has been undone again. That's a great shame for Luke Austin. This is the view from Stuart Nichols now, driving like a man on a mission to make up some lost ground, and of course it could be crucial for the championship. Well, there's Mick Nichols struggling along with those gearbox issues. He's not able to lap at his usual pace, it's fair to say, but he's aware that points make prizes at the end of the season. Stuart Nichols, though, is a bit further up the road. He's doing battle with the 24 car, which is Martin Farrelly from Fleet in Hampshire. They are right together now, as are these two, 27 and 58. 27 being Ryan Connolly, the Newark man, so a relatively local man to this circuit. And Mark Bithry, someone running wide. That may well be the 35 car of the Atkinson. Yes, it is, that had the moment that brought about the red flags in the earlier race, ended up in the gravel trap. Well, this looks like Stuart Nichols there, just ducking around, trying to find a gap to make up some ground. The 27 car is Christian White. That's his target going into the Fogarty S's. He's already found his way past the... Sorry, 27 is Ryan Connolly, I beg your pardon. The 58 car had already got past was Mark Bithry, as Matt Palmer goes on to his final lap. A commanding advantage over Jim Davis in second position. Mike Wells is still there in third. It's Nigel Ralphson making his way through, the ex-Fiat racer. Clive Morford as well in car number 8. and that was the Christian White car, number 28. He's there around about 10th position at the moment, and here is Stuart Nichols. I don't think he's going to be able to get up into the top 10 before the end of this race. He's just got too much work to do and not enough time to do it in. He's ahead now though of Ryan Conley, a newcomer to MR2 racing this season. Is Ryan in that number 27 car. Through Redgate goes 58 Mark Bithry then, and down towards the Craner curves you can see Luke Austin in shot as well. So down towards the old hairpin, it's the final lap for all of these drivers then. I don't sense that any of them particularly are looking to make any late manoeuvres to make up positions. We're fighting of course for the relatively minor places here, with drivers by and large not generally in championship contention. Probably more concerned with bringing their car home, having had a good race at Donington Park. Oh, Mark Bithry possibly giving light to that, because he was off on the inside of McLean's, then off on the outside of McLean's, and loses a couple of places. Luke Austin, number 44, gobbles one of them up, says thank you very much. As a spinner is Vincent Price, the MR2 Roadster, in a cloud of dust, goes off car number 57, but that's of no consequence to Matt Palmer, car number 18, because having done the double victory at Pembrey, he's making it a double at Donington Park as well. The checkered flag goes out, and the 22-year-old from Reading takes his 4th victory of the season in the Miller's Oils Toyota MR2 Championship. And here's the number 29 car, which is Martin Fahey. He goes off. He's heading straight to the Vaughan Haslam Race School there, into the gravel at Coppice Corner, waiting for the dust to settle. He is still there, I think. He's nosed on into the barriers, and that's very disappointing because he was almost within sight of the checkered flag. Hopefully not too much damage done there. You can have a look at that later though. Matt Palmer waving to the marshals and spectators as he celebrates victory then in round 8 of the championship. And marshals showing their appreciation as well of what was a very good race for the MR2s. And here's the result then. Matt Palmer it was that took the win by a shade under 3 seconds from Jim Davis, who took the Roadster class honours. Mike Wells was 3rd, John Wilson 4th, Tim Heron and Rob Wells completed the top 6. As far as the championship is concerned, it's still John Wilson that leads by 5 points now over Tim Heron, but Matt Palmer has moved up to 3rd. He is on the prowl. Okay, Matt, that's 4 wins out of 4 now. The weekend must have been just about perfect for you.
Yeah, the only thing that could have made it more perfect is if I had qualified on pole for both races, but I managed to get really good starts for both, so yeah, and then it was just controlling the pace again, and I could bring the car home towards the end of the second race. So
yeah, it was really a very similar race to the first one for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty much a carbon copy, to be honest. I saw Mike and Jim having some good battles between them, and that really gave me a big gap, so I just maintained my pace throughout the race then.
Okay, so Rockingham next. That's going to be a new circuit for a lot of drivers. Does that include yourself?
Yeah, we would never have driven the circuit before, and the first time on track will probably be qualifying, so that will be a challenge to try and qualify quite close to the front of the grid again.
Okay, Jim, second position for you this time, so I guess that made up a little bit for the disappointment to the red flag in the first race.
Yeah, unfortunately that's happened twice to me now. At Snetterton it came down when I'd done a full lap in 3rd, but unfortunately got moved back to 4th place. So yeah, although the last race is well made up for it, I feel. We're on the ragged edge, but it was a brilliant race.
And you had, as you say, a good race there with Mike. You had to get ahead of him and you had to work hard.
Yeah, we were tussling in the first race as well, but unfortunately not aggressive enough, I don't think. That's my issue.
Okay, Mike, 3rd position for you. Might have been 2nd, but Jim just got the better of you.
Absolutely, it all started from the grid again. Bogged down on the start as I did on the first race, so Matt got the better of me there. Tried to hold it around Craner curves, but he just had the line. So, and then I was doing all right for a bit, trying to catch him up, and Jim just hunted me down. A couple of mistakes on my part, so I need to sort that out. And yeah, he just got me towards the end there.
Nevertheless, some good pace this weekend, so you must be able to take something from it.
Yeah, absolutely. We did a bit of testing here last week, got the car set up really nicely, so yeah, hoping for more of the same on the next one.
while the next stop for the MR2 Championship is at Rockingham. I do hope you'll join us there, but from Donington Park, it's goodbye.